And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm going to be taking a look at Panic on Wall Street. Panic on Wall Street. Now, real quickly, if you've already seen my review on Masters of Commerce, you do not need to watch this review. This is essentially the exact same game, just with updated and better graphics and artwork and components. Okay, so there's not a whole lot of difference there really, but this one just is so much nicer, but they're essentially the same game. Now, if you've never seen my review of Masters of Commerce, then hang on and let me show you this party game that actually goes up to 11 people. Let's look. Depending on how many players are in the game, half the players are going to be investors, and the rest of the players are going to be managers. So for example, in an 11-player game, there would be 5 managers and 6 investors. In a 6-player game, there would be 3 of each. Now, each manager is randomly given 3 different companies. There are 4 different colors of companies, and you can see all 4 companies over here. Each of these companies has, you know, a funny feature about it. There's the anti-snore box. Here's a anti-bad kid boot that kicks them. Hamster radio, and then wiener sausage. Delicious. Okay, the other players, the investors, are each given a pile of chips of whatever token you want, and they're also given one of these erasable markers. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter who has the erasable marker, but someone needs the erasable marker. Now, what happens at the beginning of each round, we flip this 2-minute timer, and by the way, that is a really nice timer for a game to have. Then what players are going to do is they're going to start negotiating. So I might say to you, if you're a manager, I'll say, look, let me have this here, this anti-bad kid thing, and I'll take that from you for $23. You say, fine. And you write $23. And so we put my token on it. Later on, the Colonial Bank will come and say, look, I'll do it for $25. And so we can switch. However, if you want to, if both people agree, you can close it, and once it's closed, then you can't redo that one. So you're going back and forth. Everyone is doing this simultaneously all over the place. You're going everywhere. You're shouting and taking and selling these properties. Basically, you're offering the person rent or investing into that property. Now, once that's done and once the timer runs out, then we go to this board here. And what's going to happen on this board, we're going to roll the dice for each board. So here, red gets +2. Here, the yellow gets -3, the blue doesn't move, and the green gets +1. Now, that changes the price for each of these. If I invested in a red one, for each red one I invested in, I'm going to get $50. Or $50,000, I suppose. For each yellow one I invested in, I'm going to lose $10,000. For each green one I invested in, I'll get $30,000, and for blues, I'll get $30,000. Now, a couple features here. First of all, the blue one has the price fluctuation isn't so great. It goes from 20 to 40. Not to mention, the die has zeros, +1 or -1. So it's going to move very slowly. Blue is not rich, but it's very steady. Green has 0 to 60, yellow -10 to 60, and red -20 to 70, and their dies, like the red has a -7 and also has a +7, so it can go all the way across the board back and forth. After all the investors get their money, then the managers will get their money. So let's say these are my properties that I have here. Well, the yellow player would owe me 35 and the blue player would owe me 20, and they would both give me money. Money in this game, by the way, is paper money, and I'm not a huge fan of paper money, but the paper money in this game is very fancy and high quality. So still, I'll replace mine with poker chips. But anyhow, so you pay off. Now, it's possible that the investor will not have the money, in which case the manager is kind of out of luck. And the investor, and he can actually force the investor to go out of the game. Now, after that happens, we will then turn over a certain number of tiles, and we'll do it one at a time. And as we turn over a tile, all the managers are going to bid on that tile. And then you do that, and so managers will slowly build up a portfolio of tiles. Not to mention, not only will these regular tiles come up, but other tiles will show up that are the same color. This is green, but that's 2 times. Not to mention, isn't that the coolest pocket knife ever? And here's a double yellow, and here's a double red, and another double yellow, and a double blue. Cornfish, haven't you always wanted that? And another double blue, and then the jungle speed, double green. Basically, an investor who invests in this will double it. Of course, they'll double it even if it's negative, but they will double their money, and of course, you as the manager can charge them rent accordingly. That's the end of a round. You then go to the next round, and everyone takes their chips back. Everyone takes their money that they've gotten, and we start all over again. After 5 rounds or 5 months, and you can see there's a over here on the board, it tells you that. After 5 months, the investor who has the most money wins, and the manager who has the most money wins. There's only one winner for each of them, so there's 2 winners in the course of the game. So all the investors are playing against each other, and all the managers are playing against each other. First of all, I love the visual look here on Panic of Wall Street. I love the newspaper here. I love the stocks. I think the corny 20s, 30s invention thing is hilarious. And I love that the timer is fantastic. The components are good. I'm not so keen on the paper money, but, you know, it works. The gameplay is amazingly fun. People are throwing chips at each other and screaming. This is one of the loudest games since Pit has been invented, because people are yelling back and forth, especially if you can play the full complement of 11 players. Please do. You will have a blast, and it's fun. Now, the investors could technically make a huge amount of money, more than the the managers. But the managers are not competing against the investors. So that's a pretty neat dynamic. So you can make an alliance with a manager, but is that enough to win you the game? It depends on what properties he has. So there's an auction phase, which is interesting, you know, but the most interesting is those 2 minutes of intense negotiation. And it happens 5 times over the course of the game. So there's 10 minutes of negotiation in this game. Then there's a few auctions. The game takes about 30 minutes. I mean, it's not a very long game. I suppose if you really drag it out, it could take longer, but just super fun. People are screaming and yelling, and if you like that chaos and just sheer time negotiation with other players, it's a lot of fun. And you got to figure out the properties. I love also the investments. The red ones can just really fluctuate all over the place. You can lose big, but gain huge. Or you can be safe and do the blue ones. Which strategy wins? Who knows? So, Panic on Wall Street. It's a game that it's okay with 4 or 5 players, but with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And there's not many games that do handle 11. This is really a party game. I mean, it is. It's a party economic game. And there's very few of those out there. It's also a lot of fun educational situations in schools. If you've never heard of this one, never played the old Masters of Commerce, then you certainly want to give this one a try. Panic on Wall Street.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.